Today, let's talk financial advising, retirement and tax strategy. Where to put your money, the good, the bad, and the ugly. 'Cause today will help you build your legacy with the fly on the wall. Fly on the wall. Fly on the wall.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Fly on the Wall Finance. Today we are going to be talking about 2025 Social Security changes.
Well, some of us are going to be talking about it, and others are going to be hoarsely whispering about it.
Listening.
Poor Margot. You're a little under the weather, so it may be the first time ever in our whole lives you are going to be using a quiet little inside voice.
Yeah, my kids at school today were like, what? And then Sawyer, it's his birthday yesterday, and I was like, happy birthday. That's the first time I've ever not really heard you sing and be obnoxious. And
oh, I don't even know what to do. And you have a cup of what? Hot something for your throat. Hot cider with a mug that says Tears of My Enemies. I love it. It's so you.
Perfect for me.
It is perfect. Well, we're going to take advantage of Margot being the silent one, I guess. I don't know if advantage is the right word. We're going to try to pick up the slack. So we're going to have to, we're going to have to step it up to ever fill those shoes. But we are talking about changes to Social Security. Margot, I'm interested because one of the biggest changes for this year impacts teachers. Are you guys talking about WEP, GPO? Like, do people know about this? Are teachers talking about it?
No idea.
No. Okay.
No idea what you're talking about. We're freaked out about a lot of other things.
This is just adding the list. Good. Well, I'm glad I can. This is actually good news. So the biggest change is called the Social Security Fairness Act. And what it relates to is two acronyms, WEP and GPO. And usually if you say that to somebody, they're like, say what now? What are you talking about? But they're actually provisions that have been in place for over 40 years. And the reason it's called the Social Security Fairness Act is there's been a lot of complaints over the years from teachers, police officers, firefighters, state and federal workers that end up being impacted by this. So, Margot, one of the reasons you may not be hearing about it is it's not all of those people that are impacted, but it is for those that work in those professions that also have earned income or possibly a pension from a job outside of the public sector. So let's say you're a teacher and you have a second job, a summer job, and you end up having a pension that's covered by both. The WEP is called the Windfall Elimination Provision, and GPO is Government Pension Offset. And basically, both of those work to diminish the Social Security benefit of teachers, police officers, firefighters, state workers, federal workers. It ends up reducing your Social Security benefits by quite a bit, actually. The WEP usually reduces it by like 50%, and the GPO works the same way, but for spouses. So if you're a spouse and you are covered by this outside pension, spousal benefits can be reduced by up to 2/3 of the pension amount. So it can be significant. It can wipe out almost the entire spousal benefit. You're laughing.
It's good news.
It is. So the good news is those were eliminated. So they've been in place for like 40 years. So the Fairness Act is because why are you laughing and looking at me like that? It's good news. They were eliminated. So January 5th, those provisions went away. So now teachers, police officers, firefighters, state and federal workers, anybody that may have been impacted by their benefits being reduced, you can go apply. A lot of people maybe, they wouldn't even have gone to apply because they would have thought, man, I'm not going to hardly get anything. It's going to be I'm going to have to go through all these hoops to get the benefit, and then it's going to be reduced by so much. It might even eliminate entirely a spousal benefit that I was supposed to get. So they're going to retro this back to January 1st of 2024. So it's not like they're going to go back and be like, oh, you should have qualified for the last 20 years. Okay, we'll go pay it. But they are going to retro it back to 2024. So they're going to adjust that. And then moving forward, which I think is most exciting for anybody that hasn't taken it yet, you are not going to be penalized by these two things anymore. So that's where the good news comes in.
Very good.
Fair
Because I
enough.
do think most of those people have second jobs to make up for lower salaries and things like that.
Or they have spouses that do. And then you have spouses that are like, okay, I went to go apply for benefits, but because of this government pension offset, my spousal benefits get reduced so much. You can almost eliminate them entirely. So that, I think, is the biggest change. I guess next step would be, there are frequently asked questions at ssa.gov. So if you think this might apply to you, you want to go look at more. This is brand new. We're less than 30 days in. So how the Social Security Administrative Office is letting people know, I'm not quite sure. They are going to, but just like you said, nobody's talking about it. I haven't gotten a ton of questions about it, which tells me most people aren't aware that this is a new change. So you can go to ssa.gov. Right at the top, I believe there's a banner that says Social Security Fairness Act. If you click on it, you can see all these things, or call us. We're happy to walk through it and answer any questions. I will say, be diligent here. We've done a whole episode on scams. Like anything, no doubt there's going to be scams on this. So think about your parents, maybe older people that you work with. Nobody's going to ask you to pay them money to help you get these benefits. Like key things that we think about as being red flags. I'm sure people are going to find a way to abuse this, and we're going to have scams that pop up. But try to go directly to your Social Security Administrative Office. I recommend doing it in person. Which
in websites, it's crazy how they can make them look like they're legit.
Right. And I'm sure there'll be fake websites that pop up and click here, enter all your info to get your extra benefits. I would say best practice is probably just go to your local office in person. I do believe that since COVID, it's been recommended that you have an appointment. And this year, 2025, it's a requirement. So they don't necessarily turn people away, but they say it's a requirement to go in. And I'm sure it makes the whole experience a little more pleasant. I've not been, but I imagine it would be something like going to the tag office.
DMV.
DMV, the most hated places.
Yep.
Whenever I go to the tag office, I always just say like, well, I'll probably see you 3 or 4 times before I'm actually have what I need, because I never have all the things I need. I hate going there.
I miss Shirley Bloomquist in there.
You had a go-to person? That must have been nice.
So nice, because now I don't. And
I'm sure it's my issue. Like, I'm sure it's things I don't know that I'm supposed to have, but I'm always like, can't you just look it up here? Can't I just? No, you cannot. You need to have your stuff together. So set an appointment, have your stuff together. They'll probably tell you what you need to bring, but retro back to January 2024. So there you go. Good news. The other changes, maybe not so good news, but important to be aware of. The lowest cost of living adjustment in 4 years. So at least there still is one. We have had years where there wasn't any raise for Social Security. It's 2.5% this year, probably because everybody felt like, okay, inflation's under control. We're going to scale back on how much we're increasing for inflation. That doesn't equate to much, for most people. I think it's an average of like $50. So not a huge increase this year for people based on cost of living.
Which capers for teachers and state, they never get a cost of living increase. Once you retire, that's your amount all the time. So then maybe that'll help with some of it too. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of pensions are like that, or, a capers payout. So, I mean, it could be worse. It could be none. But it is the lowest in 4 years. That applies to survivor benefits, disability, retirement, SSI. Doesn't matter the type of Social Security benefit. Everybody across the board gets that 2.5% raise, which will be offset a little bit by an increase in Medicare premiums. So I know, Emma, that's something you talk quite a bit about.
Yep. I think they're raising, what is it, from 174 to 185?
Yeah, up about $10 a month. So not a huge increase, but they did increase. Medicare premiums increased a little bit. So that cuts into your $50 raise per month. The amount of income that you're taxed on changes annually. So just as a reminder how Social Security taxes work, you pay 6.2%. I remember you getting your first paycheck and you came in and you were like, what is this? What is FICA? You're so mad.
Yeah, I still get mad when I see it, but
yeah, well, assuming Social Security is there when you retire 40 years from now, you'll be happy then. But you pay 6.2, your employer pays 6.2. If you're self-employed, you are footing the whole amount for that. But that gets applied to a certain amount of income. So 2025, that amount is 176,000. Anything you make over 176,000 isn't being taxed on Social Security benefits any longer, but that amount does change annually. So just something to be aware of. I can't imagine most people are sitting around going, I wonder how much of my income is being taxed on Social Security this year. But that's the formula in case you're just...
It's really riveting information, Mom.
Thank you. I hope that there's a trivia game or something and this comes up and you win based on what I just gave you.
Necessary, I guess.
Or you could drop some fun facts on people if you wanted to just, you get stuck.
Super fun. Yeah.
Stuck at a dinner party and you're like,
Super fun.
Human head weighs 8 pounds. You know how much you're taxed on Social Security? $176,000. You pay 6.2%. Boom.
Yeah.
You'll be the life of the party.
Brad. Boom.
Boom. That is Brad.
Huge hit.
Off on me. Okay, the gotchas. So we talked about the biggest change, the Social Security Fairness Act. That's hard to say. 5 times fast. The other changes and then the gotchas. I think the biggest thing that trips people up with Social Security, and I do think most people are aware of this, but this amount changes if you have not reached full retirement age. So for anybody born 1960 or after, that age is 67. If you were born before then, there is a scale, but for most people right now, you're talking 66 and a few months. So it might be 66 and 8 months, 66 and 10 months. Once you hit those born 1960 or after, currently it's age 67. If you apply early and you work, so this does trip people up sometimes. They're like, oh, I want to apply early, but I'm going to go work part-time or, something to make some extra cash. There is a ceiling on how much you can make before you get penalized. In 2025, that amount is $23,400. If you make over that amount, you get $1 for every 2 you make withheld. So an easier way to think about that, because math hurts my head sometimes. If you're making $40,000, they're going to take the difference between $40,000 and that $23,400. Which I did the math beforehand, so I wouldn't have to do it in my head. $16,600. Shut it, Margot. I see your mouth moving. We know you can do it. $16,600. So you'd have to take half that. So $8,300 would be withheld. Eventually you get it back. Like they don't withhold it forever, but you have to think about, is this part-time job worth it? How much will I be making? Do I want to wait and take Social Security? And that is a big decision. Do I take it now? Do I wait? Do I delay? That's a big decision for most people. but the impact of working can be a gotcha. We don't want anybody to have amounts withheld.
Makes sense when you could sit at home with your dog instead.
I agree with that. I think that should be now.
What did you say you wanted to be when you grew up, Emma?
Stay-at-home dog mom.
Stay-at-home dog mom. Well,
still aspiring.
Still aspiring. Okay. I get it. You do have the cutest dog that you stole from me.
Dogs.
Yeah, but the one was mine. Still should be mine.
No.
Anyway, Social Security disability is different on the cap. So that is assuming you're disabled, you're not able to make what they call significant earnings. So that cap is different on being penalized. So I want to be clear, the earnings limit is for like those that are retiring, full retirement age. I do get quite a few questions from people that are like, hey, I'm a caretaker for somebody that's on disability. SSDI is different. That cap is $1,620 per month. So that you can't go over that cap per month or they'll withhold benefits. So just something to be aware of with those gotchas. This isn't so much a gotcha as maybe a little known fact, maybe something that a lot of people don't know. But more and more, of course, even these days, we have grandparents that are caring for minor children. Unfortunately, sometimes because parents are deceased. So if you are a grandparent and you retire or you become disabled or you pass away and you are the caregiver for a minor child, they qualify for Social Security benefits. So there might be some nuances in here that maybe we don't talk about all the time. You're not quite sure. Did that change for this year? What can I qualify for? It's really tough, I think, to navigate some of those things alone. So we're always happy to answer questions on that and talk through it, which I think is probably the main takeaway is if you think that there's something in here that applies to you, we can help you sort through it. If we don't have the answers, we'll get them for you.
Does this happen? Is this like a normal thing every 4 years that you have to deal with, Jamie?
Social Security changes most of these changes happen every year. So COLA is always something that we look at. We look at earnings tests. Do people know about their full retirement age? What's the amount of income? So those are all changes that just are normal changes that happen a year. The big one for this year is the Social Security Fairness Act. So that impact potentially with the government pension offset or the windfall elimination, I believe is the biggest one. And my worry there is one, people have to be proactive. It doesn't just happen. They're not just going to seek you out and make sure that you're getting your money. You have to be proactive. And so how they make people aware of this, how they notify, do people know what kind of action to take? Are they going to be scammed with people saying, click this link, here's how you go apply for your benefits? I mean, all those things are a little bit worrisome. As you can imagine, it's a major undertaking. I think they're expecting about 3 million people will be impacted by the elimination of those provisions. So it's a lot of people, and there's going to be confusion. There's going to be questions. There's going to be calculations that have to go be done, and lump sum amounts that have to go be paid out for the last year, recalculations for people that hadn't previously applied. So I don't know how smooth of a process it's going to be, but it's one that you've got to be proactive with for yourself. So just be aware if you think it applies to you, you should check it out. Call somebody like us or go to the SSA.gov office or website and see if you can get a little more info and just be proactive with it.
Makes sense.
Last item. You ladies were here. What was it? 2 weeks ago, we did our podcast because we had just done headshots. And part of why we updated our headshots, which will be on the website. Margo loves pictures and makeup and dressing up. You put makeup on for the photos? And I think you said it was how many years or months or something before you'd had to put any on?
I don't even remember. I did. Yeah.
I love it. You walked in here, you looked so crabby. You were like, I had to wear makeup. I had to dress up. I hate photos.
Hate it. Emma sent mine. I just replied, gross.
Awesome. Well, we did those in part because we have a new investment advisor rep that we brought on board. He's joining the firm, and we announced our strategic partnership with Simmons and Simmons with William and Caitlin Nusser out of Larned. They're going to be in our office at least once a month, maybe a couple times a month. And a really cool article came out in where there was 2 publications, I think. Emma, where was it?
Yeah, one of them was in Ad Astra, which is like the local one. And
the other was Great Bend, I think, right? It was a
Yeah.
Great Bend publication, and they did a huge write-up on the partnership and what we're able to do for comprehensive planning and what that means for our clients. So that was really cool. That was another reason we did the headshots, was to make sure that we didn't have just like Facebook images that we may or may not have stolen from the site and put on our website, but actual headshots of all of our team members, because we are definitely growing. We have a ton of great resources here with some really talented, resourceful, strategic partners. So more to follow on that. And when he's not getting hammered right in the midst of tax time, he has already said he definitely wants to join the podcast on a regular basis. And what's that?
He's literally getting hammered because it's tax time.
He might be literally getting hammered. Yeah. He may be. His coffee mug may be filled with something different instead of warm cider during the day. I don't know.
Oh, that paperwork, all those numbers.
I'm glad it's not me.
Me too.
And the deadlines. I think that would be just the most stressful. Like,
can you imagine?
These
I
people
would never sleep. I would never sleep.
No, you would stroke out for sure.
3 months at least.
No, you would stress all year. You'd be.
I'm not
thinking
sure
about the
William's
next
sleeping
year.
right now either.
I don't think he's as high strung though. He handles it with grace, because he was like, "I'll join the
He's
podcast." I
so
said, "Don't you want to
calm.
wait until after tax time?" I mean, whatever. He was like, "We go home for supper, or we just have supper there. And when they come back until like 10 or 11 at night," and he's just like, "No biggie, no big deal."
He's also a mayor, the mayor.
The mayor of Larned.
I didn't know that.
Another fun fact. Look, you guys are going to go to a dinner party and you're going to be like, fun fact about the mayor of Larned. And did you know taxation on Social Security is $176,000 for 2025?
2.4%.
What?
2.4%. 2.5.
No.
What?
What
What did you say? I thought
Are you just throwing out random numbers?
No, I thought you just said 2.4%.
6.2.
Oh.
Don't drop your fun facts on anyone now.
Yeah. I need to rewatch this.
Stick to your
podcast a couple more
Medicare
times.
premiums. You know the Medicare premiums. That's your area of expertise.
Yeah.
Which is important. All right. Well, Margot.
Four was somewhere though, because that sounded really familiar to
Thank
me.
you. Thank you.
I don't know. I can't remember what I said. 2.5 COLA raise. Is that maybe what it was? I don't know. I'm sure you'll go back and listen and
I am.
prove your point, and then it'll be in outtakes. It'll be the clip that you pick and splice together. I can't wait for it. I say some crazy stuff. I could have. All right, ladies. Margot, you're a trooper. Thanks for joining us when you have no voice. Be the maybe one and only time again. You're so quiet.
I'm taking 80 kids on a field trip tomorrow too. And so it's going to be
How are you going to get control?
We have a megaphone.
That's true.
But yeah, normally it's just my voice. Boom.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to soothe and get it ready for tomorrow.
If you had something like a megaphone or like a siren to get their attention, I'm pretty sure you could snap them to attention with your face. So they'll know the look.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just need like a little siren or something and then give them the look. You'll be all right. Yep, that's it. I've been on a field trip with you. You had adults that were like, pay attention. You get in trouble.
Nice.
All right, ladies. Until next time, Emma.
Okay,
close her
guys.
out.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Fly on the Wall. If you do have any questions about the Social Security changes for 2025 or think that any of these may apply to you but aren't sure, reach out, let us know. Our number and everything will be in the description. Okay.
Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.
That wraps up another episode of the Fly on the Wall podcast. Join us next time as we continue the conversations and bringing you behind the scenes in the world of finance. And don't forget to stay connected with us on your favorite social media platforms and subscribe wherever you're listening to podcasts so you don't miss an episode. And we will see you next time.
All matters discussed during this show are for informational purposes only. Opinions expressed are solely those of Iron Horse Financial Services and staff. All topics covered are believed to be from reliable sources. However, Iron Horse Financial Services makes no representations as to its accuracy or completeness. This commercial shall in no way be construed as a solicitation to sell securities or advisory services to residents of any other state other than Kansas or otherwise permitted. Topics should be discussed with your financial advisor prior to implementation. Advisory services offered through Iron Horse Financial Services, a registered investment advisor in the state of Kansas. Insurance products and services are offered through Iron Horse Retirement, an affiliated company. Iron Horse Financial Services and Iron Horse Retirement are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency.